But yeah, let's get into it. So we'll go down to turn one, and turn one can be very simple, but it also can be very tricky if we don't get it right. Now, obviously, looking further, as in completely ignoring this corner leads straight onto a flat out section, which goes on for a very long time. So getting out of this first corner is very, very critical, and using all the track we can, and keeping our speed up is a big part of getting out of here really well. My braking point for turn one is just where the grass sort of comes back in on itself and starts to head back in a straight line, which is just there. So it's about halfway between the 300 and 200. If you're driving the McLaren, the McLaren will definitely be before that. It will probably be about 300, due to the McLaren's bad brakes. But everything else should be in that sort of region. Going down to 2 gears, I go down just to third gear to subconsciously help me keep my speed up. If I go down to second, yes, I might get a better drive out of the corner, blah blah blah, but I actually subconsciously overslow the car too much, because a lot of the time we gauge our speed off the revs and what we're listening to. So just keeping it in third helps me keep my minimum speed up, and helps me carry my time and my speed through this first corner. And I think pretty much every car will be third, maybe other than the Mustang, but every car should be about third if you get it right. I've missed the apex by a little bit. Ideally, you want to be all the way down with your inside right tyres just about here. You don't want to get up on the raised part of the curb, but you definitely want to be further in to like the rear wheels, probably about here. As you can see, it's sort of, as the curb sort of like tapers down that little bit. So the more you put your wheels in that tapered down section, the more the car's going to come around the corner, and be helped by the camber of the corner through there. And then basically jump on the apex. Even before you get on the apex, just jump on the throttle, run it all the way out. Track limits for here is your left-hand side wheels, your right-hand side wheels, on the red and yellow curb, so you can run your tyres all the way out to about this point. If they go over this on the left side of this red and yellow curb, then it will be invalid. In the race, I do know it is very lenient with track limits, so you probably won't be getting track limits here. Definitely something to think about though. If you do run off and you have gained a whole bunch of time somehow, definitely be wary of it. But for qualifying, that's your track limit there, just on the red and yellow curb, nice and easy. And then hold it flat all the way up. This is flat, hugging all the way on the right, and then straightening the car. We're not holding to the right or anything. As soon as we come off this, off the right here, this little bank, we're going straight up to the left, getting all the way to the left, holding that round. We're basically just following where the curbs go, and then coming over to the left. Now this is probably going to be a section where some of you newer blokes are gonna either die, crash, and just hate life, because this can either be really nice and feel awesome, which it looks like here. I think this lap was pretty good through the chicane, or it's just not going to kill you, which I can show you pretty much any other lap where it killed me, simply just by ACC physics, really. So braking for me is at 300 on the brakes. Now I've cut this as much as I can. I may, like this is going to be pretty close to the wall, I'd imagine. Yeah, like you really wouldn't want to be cutting much more than that. I don't think there's really any track limits through here. I'm guessing it would be the curbs, because this was valid. So I guess the more you cut, just keep trying to cut until you hit the wall. The only thing you can, if you cut too much, you can sometimes get a really weird bounce here that sort of kills you. But yeah, anyway, straight lining off that. This little break here for me is really, really critical, because as the car comes off this curb, it has that bounce. This brake helps the car settle and stabilize itself before I come off, hit that second curb, and once I land off that second curb, that's when I'm getting back on the power and just hitting the second part of the chicane. Ideally, you want to be hitting every single one of these sort of apex curbs. So hit one, hit the other inside, and then hit back on the outside, shoot back out to the and then shoot back out to the left, getting ready for this next right-hander, which is also pretty tricky. Now, seeing as knowing how much of a pain this could be, do we have any questions or concerns coming straight away at you?
I'm not going to try and do it that fast.
That
just looks like death.
Yeah, I had some pretty monumental crashes going through here a couple times, I can't lie.
What I've found racing here as well is you get quite a few gains of chicken coming into this as well.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
One of you has to give up, otherwise both of you die.
9 times out of 10, that's the guy on the outside that gives up. Because if you don't hit the inside, if you don't hit this inside curb and you're another 2 car lengths this way, you're coming at this curb like looking this way, and you're like, oh shit, and now I have to try and get all the way back around, which usually by the time you've come off this, either the car behind you's died because he's gotten scared that you've actually gone around the outside of you, or as you come off this way, you're just going to hit each other and die. So if you're on the outside, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but definitely be careful when you're going into the chicane. There's always stuff that happens here. So just in the race, be very cautious. Into turn, what are we now? 1, 2, 3, 4, turn 5-ish, turn 6 maybe. This corner rewards patience is the simplest way to put it. For me, actually, I'll be able to show it from here. My point of lift, like coming off, is one of these boards. I think it's off memory, it's meant to be the second, but I think on this particular lap, I was experimenting with coming off a little bit earlier, staying out to the left a little bit, being patient, and driving through the corner and getting on the power a bit earlier, which definitely rewarded me here. I think I gained 2 tenths or something off that. But just this is probably something you guys need to experiment with, is pick one of these little white boards. Choose which one you think is best just by coming off the throttle. Most cars won't need a brake. This little brake here is just to get the car rotated a little bit and settled, with the front engine obviously rotating on the brake pedal. If you don't have to touch the brake, that's ideal. As if you hit the brake too much and too quickly through here, it's just going to upset the kart and send you off into Wonderland. So probably aim about that second one, I'd guess. Just lift off, wait. I'll come off the throttle here as I got on a little bit too early, and just drive down to the. So come off. Oh, that's still reverse, Logan. So come off, wait, and then it'll probably be. My guess it'll probably be around probably about a car length before that orange marker. Probably just about when you see it. So probably by this point you should be trying to feed back in the throttle. I come off as I got on a little bit early. If you can get your inside wheel into this curb here, or like on this curb, do it. I don't know why or how, but I think is it cambered a little bit? It must be. but it just hooks the car around for whatever reason. I don't know whether you'll be able to see it, but as soon as I get on the curb, it sort of just like tram tracks me around a little bit, and then just running all the way out. A rule of thumb for me, if I'm feeding on by this point, for example, and I'm not on full throttle by the time I've reached this marshal post, it means I haven't done it properly. So you should be sort of feeding it on, and once you get to before that marshal post, you should be flat and driving all the way through. Sorry if I'm stuffing up my words, by the way. Brain is pretty much melted after today for whatever reason. Okay, braking. Oh, I'll quickly comment on this track limits. This track limit's fine, really. You can run out a lot more than what you think. I'd probably say it's the right. It's probably, I think off memory, the track limits was this yellow and red again. A lot of the track limits around here is just the curbs. So you shouldn't have any issues with that. Braking into this downhill left. What I'm looking for braking is this grate. So just before that, some cars will be on it, some cars will be after it, some cars will be way before it, some cars will be looking at patches of grass. My patch of grass that I look for is this one, this big dirt patch, as my actual, that's where I'm hitting the brake thing, and this is just a reference to see where that is. So what we'll do is we'll slow it down. So we can see the patch of grass just on basically on my dash now. And then basically I'm on as soon as that dead patch has hit my dash. Actually, this will be the thing I'm driving in. So yeah, basically just as it's about to hit my dash is when I'm getting on the brakes. Now you'll notice for here, I'm shooting fairly quickly straight to the left hand side and inside of the track. That's because if you sit from here, notice how much of a bowl that sort of is, how it's really low, sort of right down on the curb and gets higher, and it's really cambered in. That means that we want to fight hard and as quickly as we can to get down to the inside of the track, as that's going to help us around the corner, and then just ride the curb all the way in. I apexed probably too early here, so I do run a little bit wide. Yeah, just that little bit wide. I still get to my apex fairly alright though. But that's just another thing to help you guys get around the corner is looking at the camber, and for this particular corner, getting all the way down on the curb will help you push around the corner nice and easy and get on the throttle earlier, and then running all the way out. I will actually comment where the car here gets a big bump there, be very careful sort of in any car, as that bump, it's happened to me a couple times where it's shot me off into the wall, or even when I've come exiting off this and I've just clipped this curb just normally and it's just like put me over here. Just be careful that sometimes that curb can kill you, but yeah. Now heading in probably, I think this is called the horseshoe. This is probably my least favourite corner on the track just because of how deceptive it is with throttle input and how much corner speed you can take. Braking for this is the 100 board. For whatever reason, the inside one works better for me, than the outside 100 board, but it's the 100 board nonetheless. Once that disappears, I'm jumping on the brakes, feeding it in. If we go back, we'll slow it down a little bit. Notice how I come off the brake a little bit, and then, oh, what am I doing? Coming off the brake a little bit, then then hold a little bit and then come off. That just gets me that little bit of rotation. That's that trail braking I always talk about. And then basically get back on the throttle as quick as I can, and then just feather it out, still not flat, shift into third, get that little bit of traction in third, and then hit flat. Use all the track and guide it all the way out. I'll run that through full speed. Just quickly. Brake at 100, get in on the apex to get the camber, down to second to get the rotation, shift to third for the traction. Probably could short shift that in most cars to help with the traction. But really just setting up on the run and carrying that corner speed so we have a nice run down here into another nice passing spot that I like. Braking into this corner is that patch of dead grass right on my dash just there. As this, you could probably use just after the 200. I don't like using any of these boards here as they're movable. So if you can, try to use something that isn't movable. That patch of grass is always going to be there. So braking on the patch of grass, down to second. Having a little bit of a twitch there, which was a bit unfortunate. But yeah, getting down, hitting the apex, driving out of the corner, using all the road. Again, this can be track limits fairly easily. I think it's just the right hand side tyres on the left hand side of that red and yellow curb. And then quickly shooting back to the right to set up for probably one of my favourite corners on the track. Now, even though I've just said don't use these boards, we're going to use this powered by AWS board. Hopefully that doesn't disappear. Otherwise, I think in the past I've used this patch of grass right on the fence and then just gone well before it. Or even you could probably use this little grey patch here if that does get taken out. Unfortunately, there's just not a lot else there to look at in terms of braking markers. Now this corner, you want to sort of point yourself out towards the edge of this podium, the Fanatec podium. What's this called? Bloody sign thing. To straighten yourself out. This particular lap, I probably hold a little bit too tight and don't get quite the run or exit that I need to. More what I'd be doing is be staying out wide a little bit longer, V'ing off the corner, and then once I've turned, then I'll be coming out of the corner more pointed this way rather than hitting the throttle back here and having to just hold it all the way around while still turning. So all I would do is come out wider, turn it in, and straighten off the exit. As here I just sort of hold it a little bit too tight, and you can see I sort of have to wait for that throttle down here. I sort of pick it up and then just have to wait and wait and wait until I finally can pick up full throttle.
Do you really like that corner?
I think it's better than the horseshoe. If you get it right, it feels nice. If you get it right, it feels really nice, which is probably why I like it. But it's also because it's so technical and you can do it in so many different ways is why I like it, probably. There's so much versatility with line and just attack and what you can do with it. Quickly moving on into another corner. This is probably the biggest corner with track limits and stuff that you'll get during the race and throughout qualifying. Now, I'm going to stress this enough. This is not a braking corner. We don't have to brake for this corner. The amount of times I've gone up the arse of someone in this corner because someone's hit the brake pedal. It's not a brake. It's just a simple lift, coast, hit your apex, and then get back on. So at the 100 board, I'm getting off throttle completely, and then once I've hit my apex, then I'm getting back on the throttle. Honestly, it's as simple as that. I do point the car in beforehand as the car is still loaded with the accelerator being on. That helps me get that little bit of first bit of rotation, as when you come off the throttle, it's going to understeer that little bit. And then I've hit the curb, the inside curb, which tram tracks me around a little bit. So that inside curb helps the car pull around the corner. And then I'm just aiming all the way out to run all the way out on this exit curb. Track limits will be left-hand side tyres on the left-hand side of this red and yellow curb. If it goes on the right-hand side, that would be a track limits warning. Now, I'd be stupid not to mention this. Me and Breno a couple of years ago, I think a year and a half ago now, we had an incident where we were in a Watkins 3-hour. I came over this curb in the Porsche, and for whatever reason, the car just went like this, and I hit this wall at a fairly decent rate of knots. If that happens to you, I'm sorry, I don't know how to fix it. That's just what the Porsche does sometimes, I think. Yeah, I just hit this outside curb, probably at the wrong angle. I'll see if I can find the clip. I'm sure I have it somewhere that I can show you afterwards. And I just got fenced. It was really upsetting. But anyway, running all the way out to the curb, fighting back over as quick as you can to get to the left. End of this tyre bundle here. Once that disappears, down a gear, barely any brake. I'll point your attention to how much brake I actually put in. It's literally a stab of the brake pedal, off, coast, hit your apex, and you're on the throttle. The earlier you get on the throttle, the better. Get all the way up to this wall. I've destroyed this wall a couple times on a couple laps. Get as close to it as you can. Graze it if you even need to, just like the tiniest bit, as that gives you a run to the line. I'll play this through quickly for full speed for you all on board before we wrap it up.
No, just need to get the practice in now.
But that does wrap us up. So, yeah, not an ideal lap, but probably at least representative for you guys to get some decent idea of where you're going.